I welcome you here on the YouTube channel of Z.Ram. My name is Daniel and I would like to show you today what performance increase you can expect with our power pin. With our power pin, it essentially depends on the length of your barrel and the initial pressure you use. Whether you use a HP system or here such CO2 capsules. However, we will do today's test here with HP. I'm still waiting for my 20-gram mag. This is now a 16-gram mag and I'm going to make a separate video with CO2. For today's test, we now have 3 barrels, once the 16-inch barrel, the standard barrel of the FSC, and then I have a 10-inch barrel from Lapco with a bore size of 686. At the same time, I can also show you that when used correctly, the Z68 projectiles will work without any problems, with all these 3 barrels. Our power pin is milled from CNC steel. Here for the comparison of the aluminum pin of the originals. The power pin is slightly shorter. The power pin ensures that more air can collect in the chamber and thus more air flows out. That's why we also need a longer barrel, so that this more air can be compensated for and converted into energy. If the barrel is too short, then is the projectile already out of the barrel and the air is still flowing. That is, it's just wasted and nothing happens. Therefore, if you want to use the power pin effectively, you need a longer barrel. As you have probably already seen, we also offer the matching steel chamber here. Here for the comparison of the aluminum chamber. The chambers does not make more power, but if you have used our power pin or made other changes to your marker that are not standard. For example, you don't use 8-gram capsules, but 12, 16, 20 grams of CO2 capsules, or here such an HP system with a stronger output pressure than 800 psi, then this was not intended by first strike for this aluminum chamber. And in the long run, it will deform at some point. At first, it may only deform slightly, you will have worse performance as a result. You can use the power pin in the Tiberius FSC, T8.1, T.9.1, Pepperball TCP and VKS. And the chamber you can use it in the Tiberius FSC, T8, T9, and Pepperball TCP. Well, and before we start, I wanted to show you again briefly how to load the Z68 projectiles correctly. So on the one hand, I always deliver a small fat bag here. If you have your own, you can of course use that too. I always take out a little fat here and then lubricate this entrance. And also this whole inner area a little bit, here on the barrel. And then you load the first projectile upright and grease the following projectiles a little bit as well. And then you load the remaining projectiles as normal. Lightly grease them all. The mag is lightly greased here. You can grease this a bit and then there should be no problems. We are still working on the MAC mode, which ensures that the first projectile does not have to be loaded vertically. So that you can then use the complete 6 shots in the normal magazine. That will take a while, but we are making progress. What will soon be there is our own barrel. We are not sure yet what size and what diameter, but there will definitely be. It will also be made of steel and will of course get along perfectly with the Z68 projectiles. And then there will be a small change to the Z8 and 60 projectiles. Namely, the diameter of the projectiles will be reduced by 0.05 mm, which will simply improve the performance for barrels that have a smaller diameter. Well, so long story short, we actually wanted to test the Power-Pin and I wanted to show you what performance increase is possible with the different barrel lengths. I'll put it all together and then we'll see you at the crony. So I've prepared everything back here now. This is now the FSC with a 1300 psi regulator, short barrel and the standard pin. The projectiles are all loaded and greased. The first one is charged upright. The barrel is also greased and now we can start. (336 FPS). 325 FPS. 322 FPS. 322 FPS. 321 FPS. So I have now installed the Power-Pin here. Otherwise, I haven't changed anything now. Still 1300 psi. The velocity screw is at maximum. The Z projectiles loaded according to the instructions. The first upright. And then let's take a look at what a difference between the Power-Pin and the short barrel is. (335 FPS). 328 FPS. 325 FPS. 328 FPS. 315 FPS. So this is now the 10-inch barrel with a bore size of 686. Still the standard pin. And the first projectile is loaded upright. Everything greased and off we go. (350 FPS). 334 FPS. 333 FPS. 333 FPS. Okay, that was too fast. So now I have here the 10-inch barrel with bore size 686. With Power-Pin. And otherwise everything is the same. As I said, the first projectile loaded upright, everything nicely greased, also greased the barrel and then it runs like clockwork. (376 FPS. 369 FPS. 371 FPS. 362 FPS. 360 FPS. So now we have here the long barrel 16 inches. Bore size .69. Standard pin. And the projectiles are loaded. The first one is charged upright. (360 FPS. 350 FPS. 384 FPS. 374 FPS. 374 FPS. So now we have here the 16-inch barrel with power pin. Everything well greased and the first projectile loaded upright. (398 FPS). 390 FPS. 389 FPS. 359 FPS. 390 FPS. So, I've now gone to the PC here and compiled the results. You can see the setup I used above. My crony and my light. By this I mean that different light and different cronies can also lead to different results. And in general, different setups can lead to different results. We tested the 4.25-inch barrel, the 10-inch barrel, and a 16-inch barrel. You can see the results once without a power pin and once with a power pin. And below you can see the average results and the average increase in FPS. With the 4.25-inch barrel, we had almost no increase. We had the best increase in this video with the 10-inch barrel. We would have had an average of 30.1 FPS more, due to the power pin. At the 16-inch barrel, we now only had 16.4 FPS more on average. But it wasn't my best result either. You can watch this video here. I have reached 70 joules here. There it was always over 400 FPS. There were 417, 409, 414, and so on. With power pin and 16-inch barrels, so basically the same setup. Unfortunately, I didn't film the best result I've ever achieved, but it was 427 frames per second. I hope the table is clear and understandable enough. If there are any questions, just write me in the comments. I hope I was able to show you what results you can achieve with your barrel through the power pin. And I hope I was able to show you that you won't have any problems with the correct use of the Z8 and 60 projectiles. I forgot to say one thing earlier. Although we now also have a hardened stainless steel screw in our shop. This is the screw with which the pin is screwed to the bolt. We have now done this in stainless steel and think that it will last longer than the normal standard screw. I hope you enjoyed the video. Wish you all a happy new year. You're Daniel from Z.Ram. One more note at this point. This is not an original part of First Strike, and please note that only 7.5 joules are allowed in Germany, so please make sure that you do not exceed the 7.5 joules with the ammunition used and the power pin. There is a very high risk of injury.